There are many things that put businesses off course or hold them back. A business can be good, but it will never be awesome without some of these in place. Focus is one of them. Lack of a financial intelligence is another. Lack of a business plan supported by an operational plan is another. But one of the biggest issues is ego. And ego I've seen affect many people, not just in business, but also in their personal lives. So, for example, I have seen people not wanting to accept help from juniors or children even, who might have come across some new technology that they haven't. I've seen CEOs who talk about having a win-win situation, but the win-win situation is they get 70%, the other person gets 30% of the revenue. And in fact, the other person will normally decline the offer, so both sides lose because they don't have that additional benefit of that supplier involved in the equation. Another issue is that they are too proud to accept help. And again, I've seen this where someone who can really help a business go forward, the owner just, no, I can do this on my own. Yeah, that was it. They haven't really recovered from that. So they're a bit like dependent on themselves. They have to show the world, which comes on to another one. The person has to look good all the time. They have to be the perceived winner, rather than letting somebody else have a little bit of the glory, share the glory a little bit. And finally, wanting to be seen as the provider, the person with all the solutions. So their ego is blocking them in that situation. Now, the impact of this is that your business can do well. You could have a small turnover, maybe 1 million, maybe 2 million. Some people will say that's small. But you could be struggling to get to the next level. And that next level can never be reached until you remove your ego, your pride from the situation. Let me give you some just personal examples in my life. I love to dance. You know, I'm trying to get my 10,000 hours of practice in my dance. But in order to get better, I had to remove some of my ego in allowing people who are younger than me and started later in dance than I did, but who today are fantastic at dance because they spent a lot more time at it. And they have a great natural ability. And I had to put my ego aside and think, oh, I know they're my friends, blah, 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 blah. I need to get instruction from them. Another one is my kids. Yes, they are great at certain things. My son is a phenomenal writer, and my daughter is great at organizing my business affairs and making the goals be reached. But in order for me to allow them to work, I had to accept that actually they have very better skills than I do in those areas, and I need to improve in my skills by allowing them to input in my life. So those are really issues that I personally have to deal with. And of course, you've got ego issues, and I will always have ego issues that I'm constantly dealing with. So, to end this video cast, I'd like to just share with you some strategies for dealing with your own ego. Now, obviously, the first one is to swallow your pride. But it's so difficult, especially when it's in public. Especially to acknowledge maybe to even a competitor that they've got it right and we need to come back and calibrate. I mean, that's the biggest issue to deal with in terms of ego. Another way to deal with ego is when someone gives you advice, just say, write it down. Write it down and sleep about it. A third way is when someone is giving you advice and your ego wants to say, you know better, rather than compete, just accept it. Even if you know the advice, just accept it. Just say, thank you, I'll consider that. Dealing with your ego. yes, and appreciating that they're only trying to help you. Now, in one of my video casts, I've talked about never teach a pig to sing, because it wastes your time and it annoys the person. And if you are showing annoyance at advice, that person is going to shut down somewhere along the way. So show appreciation, put your ego aside, and perhaps just sleep on it. Accept your ego is holding you back. If you spent the last 3 or 4 years trying to get to the next level and you are not, there is probably either an ego or a focus issue that is going on. So thank you for listening to this video cast. Normally when I give these things, I should probably say click on subscribe and so on. And of course I'd love you to do that. But please, one of the interesting aspects of dealing with ego is it is a constant battle for many of us, and I'd love you to write down your comments below.